Hey guys, this is going to be my work in progress for the Gundam Ver.Logic project. So as you guys may well be aware, on our January episode of Gunpla Talk, Josh talked about his Ver.Logic design of basically the cube with thrusters on the back and the gun barrel on the front. And that was, of course, funny, and everyone enjoyed that. And then we all kind of thought, well, let's build them, actually. I'm the last to actually join that, and that's why mine is so small here, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Basically all the other guys jumped on the idea before me, and all started working on theirs, and so like Josh and Tim and Justin and Simon, I believe, are all working on their own Ver.Logic. And then a few other people out there, like some of you guys out there I know, are also working on your own projects, which is awesome, and we've already seen a few of them already done. And so I decided, alright, I had an idea that I said, at first I just wasn't going to do it just because I don't really have time, and then I thought, okay, I have an idea of something that would be simple and relatively quick, and I'll just go for that, and it'll be fun. And that idea was to just make it really, really small. So here's my Ver.Logic here, just in its cube form at the moment. I haven't added anything to it. As it is now, it is about 1.5 centimeters cube, so 15 millimeters cube. But I'm not only making that, I'm also going to make a Xeon version, which is just a sphere, a ball of roughly the same size. And this was just made with epoxy putty, just rolled some epoxy putty into a ball about the same size as the Gundam. And so I'm going to make them similar. I'm going to make it the same way, just with a little gun barrel in the front and thrusters on the back. And that's it. So let me just give you a closer look at some of these parts here that I'm going to be working with, adding to these. So for my box, my Gundam Ver.Logic, here I've got just 4 of these little thruster bells. These are just from Kotobukiya option parts sets. I'm just going to add the 4 of those onto the back, and then this is just some extra gun barrel piece from leftover from some kit, I don't even remember, that I'll just add onto the front. So quite a long one, actually. So I think it might look a little bit strange because it's quite long, but I don't know, just going to go for it. And then for the Xeon version, I'm going to have 3 thrusters. They're in a different shape. These are more of like a wider, flat shape. So it'll just be 3 going around here. And as you'll notice, I've got a hole drilled in this one. I drilled a hole into this one as well on the bottom, but then I changed my mind. I wanted to drill it in the back, so I'm going to drill a new hole in this. For this one, it doesn't really have a top or bottom or anything, so this was originally supposed to be the bottom, but now it's just going to be the back. What I've decided to do is I'm going to use some pieces of runner here, and what I've done is just using a hairdryer to heat this up and melt it and just bend it. This was just for an experiment. I'm going to bend it some more, but just to try that, and then I'm just going to plug this in, and then like the thrusters will be around here, and then I'll paint this so that it sort of looks like a trail of like blue, sort of like a thruster, I don't know what you would call that, like fire coming out of the back of it, and then make like a small little like diorama, basically just with the 2 of these mounted on these little things here, flying at each other or something like that. So that's what I've got so far. For the barrel, for the Xeon version, I've just got the barrel, this is from an RG Zaku, just clipped off the end of that, so that'll be like a Zaku machine guns barrel here that will be on the front of that. And then also got from the RG Zaku, I've got this little commander fin, commander horn that I'm going to put on the top of that as well. Sorry, it's out of the frame, you guys can't see that. Anyway, so just going to be putting all this stuff, basically the basic shape is there, now it's just a matter of just gluing all these little parts onto there, and that's pretty much it, and then just painting and all of that. So first thing I need to do is drill a new hole in my Gundam Ver.Logic here, my box. And also, just as you can see, I've already primed these. That was just to check for imperfection in the surfaces, so I've already sprayed some primer on them, and then on the Gundam here I had to do a little bit more sanding to smooth out a couple of the corners as well. This is very imperfect, and you probably can't tell on camera. It probably looks alright on camera, but if you look really closely, it's not perfect at all. But it's so small, and I think no one's really going to be looking that closely, that I think it'll be okay. So that is there. Then I need to, let's see, clean up these thrusters there for the Xeon version. But in the meantime, I guess before we get to that, for the Gundam version, I'm just gonna sand down just the bottom of each of these thruster bells, just to make sure that the glue adheres really well, just to give it a little bit of a rough surface, so that the glue does its job well on the bottom of these, and glue these onto the back of that guy, and the gun barrel as well. Alright, so I've just taken a pencil and just drawn some dots there. Haven't measured it at all. This is not scientific. Just winging it here. So just gonna glue these on in those little spots. Also, I'm trying to just do this with my fingers because I think most people would use tweezers in this case, just to handle these really small parts. Tweezers for handling small parts like this, for me, are just really uncomfortable and not very effective from my experience. But that's just me. Alright, so there we go. Yeah, I suppose if you actually measured that, you would find out that those aren't totally straight, but they'll work for now. So again, once this is plugged in like so, it will appear to be like flying through space like that. Alright, and with that, there is my Gundam Ver.Logic. Alrighty, now then on to the Xeon version. Now, I'm a little bit more worried about if these are going to stay on there, because this is round and these are flat. But actually, so in that case, I think what I might do is switch from using Tamiya extra thin cement and just use a little super glue. The problem is that, oh well, extra thin cement takes a few seconds to dry. Super glue dries very fast, so I need to make sure that these are, when I put this on, it's on in the right place where I want it to be. So anyway, and there we go. That'll work, I suppose. They're on there anyway, and there I have the thrusters for the Xeon Ver.Logic. So I'll give those a few minutes to dry, then I'll go and put the commander horn and the gun barrel on as well. Alright, so there we go. Kind of messed that up a little bit. Had to do a little bit more sanding on that. And now the antenna and barrel are securely on the Xeon version. Now to work on the base. I showed you guys that part of the runner, but I think what I want to do for the base is just to use an actual runner like this. This is actually from the 1100 Gundam Vidar. So what I want to do is, I'm going to be cutting this up a little bit, and what I want to do is like have like one part of this and cut that, and then maybe like have that bent, like turned up. It's like bent up like that, and then have the two different Ver.Logic designs mounted onto this here. So because this doesn't lay flat, I know the first thing I need to do is cut some of these parts that are pointing down. Alright, so now I'm just going to be using this hairdryer, and I've chosen my two parts of the runner that are going to be acting as the arms to hold up the different guys there. So this one I'm going to bend like up like that, and then this one going to bend around like going the opposite way, so they're kind of like flying at each other. So I'm sure there's other ways that you could do this instead of using a hairdryer. If you actually have a heat gun, that would probably work a lot better, a lot faster. But here, let's give it a go. Alright, so here just for an example, you can get an idea of what I've done. That curve and that is not perfect, and I want to kind of make that a little bit more perfect, so I'll work with that a little bit more, but you can get the idea. So it's going to be something like that. And so my idea is just to paint the whole runner black, so that won't really be like a thing, but then just have just a little bit of this part just behind it here painted blue, just to simulate kind of the fire. I still don't know what exactly you would call it anyway, so I'm going to bend the other one up here as well, like that. Alright, so after testing and then cutting back parts of the runner and then testing and cutting back parts of the runner, I'm left with just this very simple, basically I ultimately decided I just wanted to leave just enough of the runner that I really needed to have this stand on its own, and just a little bit, couple extra bits sticking off just for added effect. That will also just make it easier to paint. I was not looking forward to having to paint this whole thing, all that runner with my airbrush. It would just be quite time consuming and kind of feel like a little bit of a waste of paint, to be honest. So I'm happy with this ultimately finished form of the base here. I think it will be cool, just a really simple little thing here. So the next step is going to be painting, and I need to prime everything first, and then we'll get on with it.